Hello, everyone. I'm glad you're here today. I want to get right to it. I'm bringing you 3 dreams that my dad had a year ago, July 2021. I'll tell you more about my dad at the end of this if you want to stay and listen to the background on some of these dreams and initial interpretations, but I'm just not going to waste your time on things you may already know from my previous videos and just bring you the dreams. All right, the first one took place on July 1st, 2021. This dream has to do with Russia and Putin. It's very odd. So hang on for kind of a weird dream, but I do think there's meaning here. All right, it begins with my dad felt he was in a room, he was in like a delegation to Russia, and he felt very inadequate in this delegation. So he was actually in Russia with a group of people. There was some kind of machine, and it produced what he described as metal bars. And in each bar, like it was like a strip of metal, and each bar had numbers on it, like 6 or 7 numbers in groups. And these bars would come out of this machine. And my dad's delegation wrote what he described as Putin's answer. So there was a sense of searching for an answer in this machine and the metal coming out with the numbers, as if Putin was searching for an answer or there was a correct answer. So the strip of metal that my dad's delegation had on it, the number was 1221. So it was 1221, 1221. And it was like something of a math equation. And my dad was like, I don't really understand what this is, but their number that the delegation had was 1221. And Putin said, no, 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 that's not the answer. And he stressed the word answer. Putin said, the number is 1225, 1225. That somehow that was the answer Putin had. That was the correct answer, 1225. Then the dream kind of changed, and Putin took them on a tour. He said, I want to show you something wonderful. So he wanted my dad to drive this Land Rover, and he gave my dad the key. So President Putin gave my dad this key for a Land Rover. They got in the car, and there was no ignition. And my dad kept looking for where to put the key, and there was a cat nearby, and in the cat's collar was the key to the ignition for the Land Rover. There was a kid nearby, and he was able to catch the cat, bring it to my dad. My dad put the key in the ignition that was attached to the cat's collar, and the Land Rover started. They took a ride, and Putin said, turn right. So my dad turned right. Then he said, turn left, then right again. And they went up and up and up this mountain path until it crested at the very top, and they looked down into a beautiful white snowy valley. My dad said it was amazing. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen, snow white mountains. And it was so easy to drive in. Then the dream finished up in a room, and Putin said goodbye. And then my dad thought, I can tell everyone I've been to Russia. So that was the end of that dream. So the things that I think were fascinating were the numbers. My dad's delegation had 1221, but Putin said, no, the right number is 1225. I do think that's kind of the takeaway for that dream. we can talk about that at the end. The next dream, July 15th, 2021. This is a very positive dream. It's very hopeful. My dad was in their kitchen at their house, and my mom was with them, and they were making a meal. They were getting ready for a very special guest that was coming, and they were making fried chicken. So my mother wanted to put the chicken in the dining room, where a very formal dining room, but my dad said, no, 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 let's have it be a buffet in the kitchen where people just walk through the kitchen, fill their plates, and then they can go sit down in the dining room. So the guests started coming in, and all of them were very excited because there was one special guest coming. When the one special guest arrived, he was larger than life, and everyone was silent in respect for him. And he was so kind, and it was so positive, it was so wonderful that this special guest was here. And he filled his plate full of chicken, and he sat at the head of the table. Other guests fixed their plates, and they sat down in the dining room, and my dad was ready to eat, but there was no chicken left. So he opened the lower drawer of their cabinet, and it was full of desserts. It was full of pies. And he thought, I can't eat that right now. That's dessert. So while he was in there looking at that drawer full of pies, the man came into the kitchen, and my dad looked up at him. I mean, he was right there in front of my dad, and he was big, and my dad had to look up at him. And he spoke to my dad, and he said, that was really, really good chicken. And my dad said, fried chicken is the best. It's my favorite. And the man said, there's just one thing that might have made it better. And my dad said, what? And the man said, gravy. Everybody knows in real life that gravy makes everything better. So my dad, knowing this, is that's unique to my dad and unique to the South. So my dad felt this incredible, peaceful feeling, and he thought, wow, this special guest is talking to me. He's so special, but he's taking the time to only talk to me. So that was the end of that dream. The last dream, there are a lot of numbers in this dream, and it was July 20th, 2021. This dream, I think, is somewhat of a prophetic dream, a warning, or maybe just an explanation as to what's coming, and that God knows what's happening, and we need not be worried about it. July 20th, 2021, my dad was with two other men close to the shore of the ocean, and the ocean was filthy dirty. Really dirty. The two men walked out into the ocean, and they invited my dad to come into the water. The feeling he had was, it is not safe. It is not safe for me to go in. But he hesitated, went in to the water anyway, and it was so cold. So they got out of the water because they were having to go to a meeting. So my dad went to the hotel room, went to his hotel room at the door to his room, and he tried to get the key out of his pocket. But the pocket was too tight, and he couldn't get his hand in there to get the key out. He stood in front of the door, and the room number was 623. Number 623 was the number on the room that he could not get the key out. Then a different man, one that was not near the water, came up and was next to his door. And he said, are you having trouble getting into the room? And my dad said, yes, I can't get the key out of my pocket. And the man said, let me try my key. And he pronounced that very distinctly. This was a huge part of the dream that stuck out to my dad. This man said, let me try my key. It might work. And the room number changed to 624. And he put his key in the door, but he didn't even turn it. The door just opened before he even turned the key. The door just gently opened. So when my dad got into that room, he was in a hurry because the meeting was going to start. And he was trying to get ready for the meeting. His hair was a mess. He was trying to find his jacket, his suit jacket to put on. And there was a man in the hallway yelling, yelling, but not in an ugly way. The man was announcing, he said, "Time for the meeting in room 333. Time for the meeting in room 333. So the meeting was going to happen in a room 333. So my dad just put on a sports coat as quickly as he could, and he just left. But then he was out on a street with the same men at the beginning of the dream that were in the water. And he sat on a curb, and both men sat on both sides of him. A woman came up and said, "Are you cold?" And he said, "No, these two men are my windbreaker." And he was sitting in the middle. And that was the end of the dream. The 333 was a very pronounced part of the dream. He could just hear that over and over again, the man yelling, "Meeting in room 333. Now then, those are the dreams. And if you need to go do something else right now in your life, man, I understand. So you can come back and listen to the rest of this, because there's not any more dreams I'm going to read to you from this point on. But I am going to talk a little bit about the background information about who we are as a family. My dad is 81. I'm 56. We live in a little bitty town in West Texas. We've lived here a long time. My parents live next door to us, and we have the privilege to take care of them as they are aging. We have always been believers in Jesus Christ as the Son of God. I have been blessed with that in my life. There's never been a point I haven't known Jesus. My parents are the same way. We have not always embraced the idea that God speaks to us so directly, but we are learning his ways. Even now, even as seasoned believers, we consider ourselves warriors. We've been through a lot of battles, trust me. But when my dad started getting these dreams in 2020, in the summer of 2020, he was like, "There's something different about these dreams." And that's when we started writing them all down. I have probably hundreds of his dreams that he's had over the last 2 years. And I just go over there for coffee at 10:30 to check on them, make sure they're fine. Sometimes he'll say, "I had a dream last night." Most of the time he doesn't. But I'm putting this out there to you because I think God is urging me to do this. And we would consider it a privilege if you would consider these dreams and pray about them and go to our Father and ask them if there's any information that he's sharing with us that we can glean his ways. Not that we can know a time and a date, but that our faith can grow and that we can have confidence that God is God, the creator of all things, and mighty powerful. I believe our emphasis should always, always, always be on Jesus Christ and what he did for us on the cross, and the good news that he saves us from our sins. He recreates us, and he's coming back for us. And we need not fear death because he's conquered it. That's the most important part, pivotal part of being a believer in Jesus Christ. Dreams, visions, words from God are important also, but we need to understand that 1 Corinthians 13 tells us we only see and hear in part and prophesy in part right now through our humanness. There'll be a day it will be perfect when our Lord comes back. And he set it up that way because he wants it that way, and he gets to decide that because he's God, and we're not. So keep these dreams in perspective as you consider them, and always, always focus on Christ. I believe that there may be something about the Putin dream that has to do with December. That my dad thought it was 12/21, December 21st, but Putin thought it was going to be 12/25, which is Christmas. I don't know about that. Truly, I don't know if that's right, but it doesn't really matter if it's right or not. It's something to file away. It's a data point. I wonder if that's what it means. You can add those numbers together and come up with an interpretation. I don't know, but I do think numbers mean something to God. Not that we worship them or find a message in every number, but that sometimes he's telling us things through numbers. Pharaoh's dream, 7 cows, 7 ears of corn, 7 years. I mean, I do think that. I think the numbers in the last dream, the 333, that's where the meeting is. I think his first number of his hotel room, what was it? 6. His hotel room was 623. If you add those together, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Often chaos is associated with the number 11. But when the other person got there, which I think was probably an angelic being, the new room number changed to 624, which is 12, which is one of those numbers God uses, 12 apostles. The 12 is used, I'm drawing a blank, but 12 is used throughout the Bible often as one of those numbers God uses. So those are just my ideas. You do with this what you think. Pray about it. That's all I have. I hope it blesses you. Stay focused on Christ and stay close to God. This is Gina Lima Charlie. I'm out.